Guys, we're in the middle of the pandemic and these are trying times. It's hard on our mental health, our mental state. And this is why I love our sponsor today, BetterHelp. They're the largest online counseling platform worldwide. They change the way people get help with facing life's challenges by providing convenient, discreet, affordable access to licensed therapists. BetterHelp makes professional counseling available anytime, anywhere, through a computer, tablet, or smartphone. It's brilliant. Sign up today. Go to betterhelp.com/solvinghealthcare and get 10% off sign-up fees. Welcome to Solving Healthcare. I'm Kwadwo Kyeremanteng. I'm an ICU and palliative care physician here in Ottawa and the founder of Resource Optimization Network. We are on a mission to transform healthcare in Canada. I'm going to talk with physicians, nurses, administrators, patients and their families because inefficiencies, overwork, and overcrowding affects us all. I believe it's time for a better healthcare system that's more cost-effective, dignified, and just for everyone involved.
Quadcast Nation, boy, do we have a treat for you today. We are doing things slightly different, always changing the boogie here, as you know. Now, myself, I am the creative and audio producer of the podcast. I handle things behind the scenes, making sure, everything does sound nice and crisp. Now that we're into a new year, the Quadcast Nation is growing. We just want to give our listeners a little more one-on-one time with Dr. K, get to know what this man is all about and how he has become such an influential figure in healthcare. So without further ado, Dr. K, welcome to your show.
Hey, I'm embarrassed because that intro was better than anything I've ever done, Stokley. You're going to be the man of the hour here, man. Like, don't take my job away.
Oh, I'm not coming for your job. Don't you worry. So, Dr. K, we're going to start you off with an easy one, okay?
All right, I'm ready.
Where did you grow up?
All right, this is one of my favorite questions because I am a proud Edmontonian, born and raised in Edmonton, West End, West Side, Aldergrove. Grew up a mad Oilers fan. As a result, got to witness 5 Stanley Cups and a couple more Cups appearances. But yeah, I am from central northern Alberta, my friend.
Central northern Alberta. All right, a fellow Canadian here. That is wonderful. Have you always wanted to be a physician?
Pretty early on, my friend. Like, honestly, I think I was a kid that had a lot of had bad asthma. So I often would actually be hospitalized for my asthma attacks. And my pediatrician, Dr. Conradi, was one of the most calm, caring, empathetic people that I can remember. And I just remember always, you'd be in the merge and you'd be in trouble and he'd walk in the room. And I remember my mom and myself would always just calm down and just be like, oh, Dr. Conradi's here. And he would put you at ease. You knew you were in great hands. And at a young age, I thought, this is something that I want to be able to do for people, to just be able to, not only treat them of their acute illness, but also bring that peace, bring that calming nature in their situation so that we could help them overcome whatever battles they're going through. And so it's something that I try and bring as a doc now. He was just an amazing role model. So, but yeah, it was at a very early age, I decided this is the career path for me.
Now, being a physician for so many years, what do you find are some of the toughest aspects about your job?
By far, there's 2 things that come to mind. One is, in my world as a palliative care doc and an ICU doc, you see a lot of death and dying. And I always find it difficult when it's very relatable. Like when you got a young mom with young kids, that always gets to my heartstrings because, when she passes, it just involves so many people, like not only the kids, husband, they usually have siblings, the parents are usually still alive. Like it could just be such a huge circle that's impacted when you have young moms and it's hard not to take that home or want to hug your kids or your spouse a little bit tighter when you have situations like that. And usually it's not common, but you have one or two a year where it just kind of, it's just like hits home. It's just a tough situation. And the other part that's tough in the job is when there's just disputes with, what you think is best for the patient, and family has differing opinions. Like you got an elderly patient with a lot of medical problems that to the medical team appears as dying, but the family doesn't accept that. They don't feel like that's the path for the patient. And just, seeing people suffer when there's not going to be any change in outcome, like the outcome's going to be the same at the end. I think that could be demoralizing and tough to see patients go through. And but otherwise, man, my job's awesome. Like I mean, especially during this COVID time where I've never felt as close to my ICU colleagues as I have now. Like when you had a whole nation/world that was just backing you and saying, "Hey, thank you, frontline staff," and what do you need? What can we do to support you? And having people clapping, at 7:00 at night, and doing all these kind of nice gestures and feeding frontline staff, like all these kind of things were really meaningful and just bonded our team. So it's I have an amazing job. So I feel really blessed.
That's wonderful. What else do you find very rewarding about being a physician?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what I like is that you're always being challenged, you're always being pushed. You got to stay up to date with all the changing technology and changing, evidence within our field. Specifically in ICU, you don't know what's coming, like what your day's looking like. You could walk in and it's a quiet looking morning, and by afternoon you've been running around like crazy trying to save lives and talk to families. And so you don't know exactly what's coming through the door, which is really exciting. You also like the fact that it's a team. Like, I grew up playing sports, and I love the idea of being in a multidisciplinary team where the physios, the respiratory therapists, the nurses have some input and some insights into what's going on with the patient. And often their insights are management altering or even life saving. So it's like awesome to be able to have that team atmosphere. And like, when I'm at work, like we keep it light too, man. Like we like to laugh. I don't know if Rebecca's listening to this, but the fellow that I was working with this week, we had a big, like a nice save in terms of a patient outcome, and she started to dance, and I'm like, who you dance like? I'm like, you dance like Elaine from Seinfeld. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? So I started breaking out, showing everybody the Elaine dance. And I put the video out on in front of everybody to say, like, am I wrong? Is Rebecca not dancing like Elaine? And like, it was sharing a laugh like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, you have to be able to laugh in that environment just because like there's so much sadness. And so, yeah, the job is fun, and we try and keep it fun. And but I do feel like a really lucky. I feel really lucky to be able to do what I do.
Some other of the most memorable parts of your career, if you can think back to some of those times where situations really stood out to you, as a physician, or maybe even some of your mentoring, or even now doing the podcasting. What can you think back that you can tell our listeners as a really memorable step in your career?
Oh man, there's so many. Finding out I got into medical school, like it took me 2 years post undergrad to get in. I remember the day I found out, got a phone call. I'm at the University of Alberta gym playing basketball, and I remember just like bugging out. I'm like, what? I'm going to be a doctor? Like, I just like totally lose my mind. And I remember a guy that was playing ball with me. I was like, and he's like, you got like 20 years of school left. It's like, you're celebrating that shit. And I was like, that's a good point. So many moments, there's always like the patient interactions, like, that really you think about too. Like I remember just, a moment when a young man was passing away, and he was, he was with his wife, and he was about my age, and he was having a lot of symptoms at the time. And it was this nurse who I won't mention her name just in case she doesn't want me to mention her name, but it's like 2 a.m. and she's like, Kwadwo, like this, I hate to call you now, but it's like this patient we just can't get them comfortable. So I just remember driving in, doing what we can to make that patient comfortable, and just the relief of seeing that wife's face, that her husband was more at peace as he was passing. These are kind of the moments where you're kind of, you're doing some good. Otherwise, like getting my first job, finding out you're going to actually be able to practice as an intensivist. You passing your exams too, knowing that your career path is set. That was big stuff. And there's been a lot of great stuff lately. Like Stokley, like the show has like changed my life. Like it really has, like opened my eyes to so many things and the possibilities, like from starting the charities like the Bridges Over Barriers to help out our community, like our kids in our community with basic needs, from funding the starting up the feeding frontline staff during the beginning of the pandemic. Our team was rallying together to set that up. I was real proud of that. Recently being appointed on the board of governors for CHIO, like that was a huge thing, especially after the Black Lives Matters issues and systemic issues around systemic racism, where I was advocating, and amongst many other BIPOC people, just saying like we need to have a seat at the table. We really need to be in leadership positions to really create some change. And so like proud of that. Proud of setting up that mentorship program for our Black youth through the show. A lot of amazing things. But I mean, I could talk your ear off about that, but it sounds like I'm like humble bragging or some shit. But
no, not at all. You're involved in a lot of things in the community, and you spoke earlier about going through med school and seeing the many years of schooling that's ahead of you. And I know you had a vision while you were going through schooling and getting out in the world and actually being able to practice as a physician. During those times, what motivated you?
Yeah, the motivation was just, I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, it was just like get through just baby steps, get through med school, get through early stages of residency, get into a fellowship program. Like I've always, kind of approached it with the baby step picture. But ultimately, when you look at the end of the tunnel, what life would look like, being able to help others, being able to work as a team, be able to be pushed every day, whether it's through your clinical experience or through academics. I always knew, I think I wanted to do either research or something along those lines. So like always being pushed, always being challenged, like growing, knowing the fact that every step of the way, there's always going to be something that's going to make you stronger and more complete. And so that's what pushed. But honestly, if reflecting on this, it really, I wasn't always looking that far ahead. I was just like, you know what, I just got to get by. Like
one day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah.
Is there anybody else that you draw inspiration from now?
Like a physician, or just
anybody, anyone in general that inspires you?
Wow, great question. It might be a bit of a cheesy answer, but I love Obama. Like I love his demeanor. I like the way he has always been well spoken, but I like the way he kind of has that almost like that quiet confidence. He ain't flexing all the time, but if he needs to flex, he's gonna flex. You know what I mean? Like I just always had respect for guys that don't need to necessarily talk all the time or be the center of attention, but when it's time to step up, you step up. And so, and I don't know, just everything about him is like, he's just a cool guy, like, on top of everything else, well-spoken, a leader, confident, a guy that strikes me as always ready to do the right thing. So I think that's someone that comes top of mind. But honestly, I'm more of a guy that just takes a little bit away from a bunch of people. Like, I think of some of the leaders at my work, the way they carry a meeting, like the way or a clinician, the way they deal with family meetings. Like I try and take maybe a little bit of piece of a lot of people. There isn't necessarily somebody that I'm like, I really want to like truly be like, but if I had to choose someone off the top of mind, Obama, man's legend, man. Like can't go wrong with that one.
Definitely a monumental figure in our times. Now, Dr. K, we have done many episodes of this podcast, and our listeners are starting to really understand what you're about. And I can say, if I were to, hear your voice somewhere, I would know instantly. That's Dr. K. And it's even more so when our listeners get to hear you laugh. You have a very iconic laugh. You can't mistake that laugh for anybody else's.
Oh, shit.
What makes you laugh? Like what's funny to you, Dr. K? Well, what gets you going?
I love that question because this is one of my like what do you call it? Resolutions. Is it resolutions for 2021?
A New Year's resolution, yes.
Yeah. English is my fourth language. Resolutions for 2021 is to laugh more for sure. Because that was me as a kid, class clown, always laughing. Like, in this challenging year, I was asking myself, am I laughing enough? But I got to tell you, like, I am not picky when it comes to comedy. I love to laugh. Like if I had to choose a show that kind of is essentially my favorite type of comedy, it would be Arrested Development, like random, tying things together. I don't know if there's Arrested Development fans out there, but Lucille and Lucille 2, and then Buster losing his hand to a loose seal. Like it's just beautiful. There's so much comedy in there. But I'm not particular. It could be witty, it could be slapstick, like Dumb and Dumber. Like I cry every time I watch that. Super Bad, I cry. American Pie, I cry. Like I'm not picky, but and it's one of those things. Like I always, even in the most awkward of times, you could always almost find funny moments. You know what I'm saying? So, but certainly this is something in the new year I'm hoping to do more of. Like I usually, my podcasts I listen to are often serious, but I picked up listening to Smartless. It's got Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes and Will Arnett. It had Martin Short on last week, and I'm in the car, peeled over on the highway. I'm like, maybe I should be pulling over for this bad boy, but I think I need a little bit more of that in 2021. So, but yeah, to answer your question directly, I'll take it all.
Right on. So getting, sitting down, watching a good comedy movie, getting some laughs in, what would you describe as your perfect day off? What is Dr. K doing?
Oh my God.
If do you know what a day off is? Do you have days off at all? I don't think you do, because you're into a lot of things. You do so much.
I try and do that. Like in terms of like days off proper. I try and keep the weekends if I'm not working to not touch the podcast, not touch research. But I'm lucky because the stuff I do, I love. So a perfect day off would be like, it's like, let's say pre-pandemic. You wake up, hang out with the kids, bust their chops a little bit. Wrestle with them, like get their energy up or get their energy out before they got to sit down in class for a while. Get a monster workout in, get a workout in. What else? Hang out with, if in the afternoon, if things were light, hang out with my wife. Just having a coffee for an hour. Like we don't do that enough. Kathy, if you're listening, that's on the agenda. Okay, mommy. Once again, like, cause I love the podcast, it doesn't necessarily need to be recording a show or editing or anything like that, but just setting up a schedule for the next couple of shows, like just finding guests, connecting with people on social media a bit about some of the show content. If it's a perfect day off, I'll probably skip doing any research. I could do a day without that. At the end of the day, oh man, I can't believe I forgot this. Could watch some NFL football with my boys. It's been so long. You know what I'm saying? Rodney, Dwayne, Gianni, Lavalicious, Warren. Every year we go to a football game normally. This is the first year we skipped out, but having the boys over and just like shooting the shit, having beer, watching some football. Can't forget about like having a feast. I love smoking meat. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's ribs, whether that's pulled pork, brisket. That's my huckleberry right now, dog.
There we go. I'm coming over next time.
This is what I'm saying. Doing that too, like I love setting up a smoke, man. Like it's an event. And then at the end of the day, if mommy and I sit down, watch a show. At this point, what are we watching right now? Patriot. That's a show we're watching right now.
Okay.
If you haven't, on Amazon Prime, it is fantastic, funny, and what's the word I'm looking for? Adventurous, like suspenseful. Someone else put the kids down. I don't always love that because they're pretty energetic. But otherwise, I think that would look like the perfect day.
Right on. So grilling, getting outside there, enjoying the summer, doing the podcast. Do you have any other, like a very favorite hobby that you could share with the listeners? Oh shit. I forgot the other thing I would love to do on my day off. I got to play some puck. I got to play some hockey. Hockey fan as well.
I'm a big hockey fan. Like played hockey since the age of 4. Love it. Normally pre-pandemic playing on 3 hockey teams. And you ask 3, how can you do that with a family with that many kids? Is usually you skip a game or 2 because of being alcohol or it's inconvenient for family time. But hobbies is around athletics. Before getting old, love playing touch football, ONTFL. That league was awesome. Back in Edmonton, our flag league. I know if some of the E-Town people listening, that flag league was sinister with an O-line where you could actually block. So much fun.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Oh, it was amazing. It was 7-on-7, 20 yards for your first down, four downs. You had usually a three person O-line, and it was awesome. It was spectacular. So that was a lot of fun in terms of hobbies. From the non-athletic side, I've always had a bit of a creative angle. This is why I love the show too. Like when I went to Ghana for the first time, made a mini documentary of our trip, which was a ton of fun. Otherwise, I'm a music fiend. I could spend, one of the things I used to do is just take an afternoon and just discover music. It was one of my favorite things to do back in the day. You find just go through some of the reviews on Pitchfork or even Rolling Stone. Often would have some pretty accurate reviews there, and just find new music, because that's another love of mine. I don't play. I just love. I'm just a connoisseur.
And what is your favorite genre of music?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been pretty blessed to like not be too picky. Like if I had to, I feel like back in the day for sure was like hip hop, and I just find it's harder to. It's too diluted now. Like I feel like it's harder to find tracks that like make you want to get out, like jump up and boogie. Like I like a strong beat and a lyricist that is like on point. Like I love Biggie, I love Tupac, I love art. Like right now, RTJ4, the album is spectacular. Listen to E.T. versus Goonies and tell me that doesn't make you want to just like take off your shirt. Okay, I don't care. I literally. So we were talking about this on one of the shows. Like Isaac Bogosh mentioned RTJ4, Run the Jewel 4 during the show. I was like, "What? You know this?" And I was telling him, like, literally, I heard this track, Goonies versus E.T. I stopped what I was doing. I was in the middle of the road. I was like, I gotta take off my shirt. This is how serious this track is right now. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, this is the most random thing I've ever seen. But I didn't care. But that is like my, that's like, old school. That was like my flavor. And then I was like big, like, especially in the mid 2000s, loved the indie scene. Like, I'm trying to think of bands like Franz Ferdinand, Block Party. Okay. I'm forgetting a bunch of groups right now, but that indie scene around that era was like fantastic. Strokes even couldn't get enough of that. But I will, and then I'll go as far as like, I think you'll call it Americana or bluegrass. Like my favorite band, if I had to say right now that I'm into, is a group called Mendel and Orange. It's a little bit melancholic, but it's they are absolutely fantastic. Best band you've never heard of. The other best band you've never heard of is Beach House. The album Teen Dream in 2010. Give that one a one-time listen, and if you don't dig it, then don't bother listening to anything else. But I would say that album, without hopping it up too much, in my top 10 for sure. And then, I can't forget about The National. I haven't been into some of the stuff lately, but the 2007 album Boxer, unbelievable, back to front one. That's for sure top 5. But yeah, the most recent stuff is they need to a little bit.
Yeah, some of the newer music has lost its soul along the way.
You feel me, right? Like, yeah, and it's so diluted. It's hard to find music now. Mm-hmm. It is so much, like, it's so much more available, but it's like you don't need, all these artists, they could just produce an EP or like a single even, and maybe there's one track on that four track EP, but it's like, as you said, it's soulless. It's like, because like at one point, a lot of these albums, like, it was a story. It was like, it was like you're going through like a journey with them, and now it's just like, this sounds okay, I'm just going to throw that in this mix.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of the albums that were produced, even like a decade ago, they were really things you could listen, like you said, from top to bottom. It was a full, you'd have to listen to track 2, 3, 4, 5, like, or else you'd miss something. But now it's like, you'll get an album, there'll be that one track you hear on the radio all the time, another hit song that they have, and then the rest is filler.
Yeah, it's garbage. Where's your go-to these days? Are you Apple Music or are you
Spotify?
Yes,
I'm a die-hard Spotify. Yeah.
Their algorithm, out of all, like when they say recommended for you, and you be like, yes, you're on point now.
When they do that end of the year wrap up too, I love that. Love that feature.
That was For
Yeah,
real.
shout out to Spotify for that.
For real. Oh, one other album that's tight. Full album is tight. Black Pumas. You gotta check. Oh, this is tight. This is like I can't even describe it. It's like R&B, but a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more beat centric. But some of the slower tunes are still on point too. Yeah, you'll love Black Pumas. Throw that down, Quadcast Nation. You won't be disappointed.
Definitely. We're going to get Dr. K to curate a list for all of us, and we're going to put that on Spotify.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
We can all tune in and jam along with Dr. K.
I love it.
Yes, that's where we're going to put that on the project list for 2021. We're doing it. We're doing it. So we just came on, we're into a new year now. We just finished, the holiday season. Does Dr. K have a favorite holiday? And if so, what makes it special to you?
Holiday, I mean, this is not sexy. It's Christmas for sure. I've always been a big Christmas fan. Like, being a small family, but often not all in the same city. Normally, with my siblings, I'm one of four. This is the time we all get together. This is the most memorable times. Like when we had some people have, when you're a family that big, we rarely sat all together at once. But some of my fondest memories are at our dinner table at Christmas, talking about old times, talking about how, like, I remember, like, even you're going to sense a theme here. I remember even coming home, getting to dinner a little bit late with Kathy back in Edmonton. And my little brother was just like so furious. He literally took off his shirt at the dinner table. It's like topless dinner time. I'm like, if you're taking off your shirt, I'm taking off my shirt. You ain't gonna be solo. It's how I'm gonna represent. But yeah, we Christmas for sure, and especially with the kids now, and seeing their faces. It's been a bit challenging because I often have to work on Christmas, but this year I had it off, for example. So it was nice to kind of have that kind of slow pace and just watch the three kids open up their presents and play with their toys, and but for sure for me, Christmas, I hate Halloween. People hype that bad boy
really
up. Oh, I hate it. I'm like, I don't know. It's just like a lot of work.
More work than Christmas.
Well, I mean, no, it's not more work than Christmas, but it's like bang for your buck. Like,
okay.
It's like, I just get, oh, wow, you look like Dolly Parton. Oh, that's funny. Like, there's really I'm like, oh, wow, that's a great costume. I wish I could be part of that. Like, I don't know. Thanksgiving's pretty good for similar reasons. But yeah, Christmas is my huckleberry for real.
Now, Christmas is an excellent holiday for me as well because I get to eat so much food.
Yes.
And I love to cook as well. Does Dr. K have a favorite meal?
I'm a ribeye. You throw me down a ribeye steak of at least 20 to 24 ounces, cooked medium rare, reverse seared. I don't care what. You could pan fry it over a flame. I don't care. Of like a fatty ribeye, and I'm in heaven. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care what the sides are. You could put, I don't know, like Jello. It doesn't matter. Like I just, that ribeye. Oh my God. And mommy will attest to it. At our house, we'll make it. It's delicious. The rub we got perfected. I like to do a little reverse sear. I don't mean to get too technical on y'all, but reverse sear where you slow, I'll smoke it in the smoker for about an hour at about 180. So it gets that smoky flavor. Crank up the grill to 1,000, 1 minute each side to perfection. I'm telling you. It's the reverse sear. Google that shit. It's going to blow up your mind grapes. It's kind of similar to sous videing. Like, I don't know if you like doing a sous vide with your meat, but yeah, ribeye steak, that's for sure. Close. Otherwise, like any, a burger where you, especially a homemade burger where you grind your own meat and you could cook it to medium. Yes. And then like some of the wood oven, like the Neapolitan pizzas, big fan of. Pizza nerds in Ottawa. That's the best pizza right now in O-Town, people. Wow. New group. And what do you call that? Uber Eats that bad boy. It's going to drop kick you in the mouth.
All right. So new for 2021, we're going to be cooking with Dr. K. All right. In addition to solving healthcare, we're starting another podcast. The listeners are going to want this now.
Oh, man. We talked hobbies, smoking for sure. Like I could talk to you all day about smoking meat. I love it.
That's definitely something I'm looking to get into as well. Once I get settled down, I'm definitely going to invest in a smoker and try my hand at that.
You will not regret it. I promise you.
Now, Dr. K, do you have any odd habits that you'd like to share with our audience?
Odd habits. Yeah. I need to think about that one hard. Odd habits. I'm not like I don't have any OCD tendencies or any shit like that. Odd habits. Someone laughed at me in the break room the other day or looked at me weird when I'll have like a liter of salted water first thing in the morning.
A liter of salted water.
Yeah. So I'll just put a pinch or two of salt in my water, and then pound that in the morning, and just so I'm like my water intake is like I'm starting the day awesome. A little bit of salt because I'm fasting in the morning, so it gives me a little bit of solute and to help with like blood pressure and energy level. Okay. That one and the other. Actually, I got one that is weird. People think this is weird. So I often for getting my greens in, like or get my vegetables in. Like I'm not a big fan of cooking vegetables in general. So what I'll do,
nobody is.
Exactly. So what I do is we buy spinach all the time, and like if you saw me about 2 hours ago, I'll just take the spinach and eat it raw, just like out of the container into my mouth. I'm like,
just power through
but just power through like 3 massive handfuls, and I'm like, my greens are done for the day. I'm done. I'm good. I don't have to have another vegetable for the rest of the day. But you walk into my house, you literally see me just pounding back spinach. They're like, what the hell is happening? And yeah, the nurses make fun of me too, because I'll just it's dry. Like I put nothing on it. I'll just
dry, just straight Popeye style.
Yeah, straight up Popeye. Exactly. Pow.
Yeah, that's it. If that works for you, you got your greens in, good to go.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's the strangest habit.
Now, if you could travel back in time, where would you go and what year would it be?
If I could travel back in time, you know what? This is going to sound pretty random and ridiculous, but I as a guy that is as much of a hockey fan as I am and got to grow up watching the Oilers, I never got to see Wayne Gretzky play ever. So if I could go back, I would go back into Game 7, 1987 or 1988 against Philly in Edmonton. Okay. I want to be at that rink with like awesome seats and witness us winning the Stanley Cup. Wow. Witness Wayne Gretzky putting that above his head. That I would have loved to have been able to do. I'm sure there's a better answer that people think, like people are going to think that's ridiculous, but as an Edmontonian, and those were pretty special times. And as a hockey fan, that was pretty special times. Otherwise, like off the top of my mind, grapes, like, yeah, no, I'm going to stick with that answer. That's for my E-Town crew.
That's solid. That's a great moment in history right there.
Oiler Nation.
Oiler Nation. Yes. Now, we know that you have a lot on your plate. You know, you're doing the podcast. You have a lot of work going on with the community. What is the most daring thing that you have done in your career?
I would say maybe this is more of a philosophy or than anything, because I stopped waiting for permission to do things. I just started doing things, and then if I thought it went wrong, I'd ask for forgiveness later. Like hiring my own research assistant with my own money, we wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for that move. Thank you, Cynthia, because I built that research career where I was getting hung up trying to submit these papers at the same time, working on a master's, working on your clinical medicine, and really appreciating the power of delegation there and just getting that help. Like that was, I don't know if that's daring, but it was a bit against the grain. I don't know if all researchers or many researchers would do that without having secured funding. And then daring, believe it or not, I think even just doing the show was a bit crazy. Like if my wife was here right now, she told me, she's like, you better not do that motherfucking show at this time. Our life is crazy. We're trying to build a house. We have a newborn. You're already crazy busy with the research and all that kind of stuff. And but there was something inside me telling me like, you really should do this. And we talked already about some of the benefits that have come from it. But, I think that was like, you really put yourself out there. And then the other part too, is maybe because it's fresh in mind, is a little bit of the media stuff and the advocacy stuff. Like when I talk about systemic racism and my experience with racism growing up and in medicine, you don't realize how vulnerable you're being and how truly difficult it was to talk about. But at the time of George Floyd, I felt like we need to talk about this and to do something. Like I was tired of just being on the sidelines. And I must say the feedback after doing some of this advocacy stuff has been amazing. But that was not easy. Talking about as a kid being called the N-word or any, being attacked on the ice, having patients say like, when's a real doctor coming in the room? Preceptors saying like, some racist comments. There's always, at times feeling like an outsider based on the color of your skin, or, being cognizant. Like, I'm sure you could appreciate this. Like, I gave a story in one of the talks, like my boys that I was with on a football trip, they're all white and we're in Florida, and they, the red light, but no cars are coming. So they just, jaywalk or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I ain't gonna get getting caught by some cop in Florida. Being a brother here, like you don't risk that shit. Like you got to be, you're cognizant of. You're always cognizant of. You have to be cognizant of the situation. Like that's that extra bandwidth. You know what I mean? Like how you're being perceived, and so I think talking about that, my experience in advocating for organizations and others to really do their part in reducing systemic racism. I think that one of late, I think, has been, pretty challenging.
Now, our listeners have got a very in-depth look at what Dr. K is about today. What does coming into a new year, it's 2021 now, we're at the beginning of it, it's January. What's 2021 looking like for you? What does Dr. K have on the horizon? Are there any big plans?
Oh, man. I mean, I could speak straight up from the show perspective. We got monster plans, dog. Like, I'm so excited for this year. We are going to be launching like Solving Wellness, which will be like an online platform where our members will be able to have access to online workouts, yoga, cooking classes, nutrition advice, like guided meditation, all these kind of tools that are available virtually. And we're going to try and, create that community, that movement to try and get us all healthier and sound of mind, sound of body. And to me, it's part of the whole idea of solving healthcare, just getting healthier individually and collectively. That's big, and personally, it's just I'm always about trying to be as efficient with my time as possible. So shedding stuff that aren't going well and focusing on things that are going well. So, letting go of some research projects, the Solving Wellness, which I think we got a grant for, putting some time into stuff like that. And then I talked earlier about laughing more, always time for more family life. I try and be on the ice with the kids, like assistant coach with them. And if that comes up in the new year, but just little things, but really excited about the new year. And I think, coming out of it too, like I just got vaccinated. All you guys are going to be vaccinated over the course of the new year and in terms of COVID, and just looking forward to connecting again and having that community feel. And just, if there's one thing that 2020 has taught me is like having that community and connection with our fellow humans is such an important part to wellness. And I miss so many of y'all. I think, your future wife, Sarah, who's helped us out throughout the whole thing. I haven't seen her in over 6 months. Just like my mom, I haven't seen in over a year. It's just I look forward to being able to do things like that again.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Quadcast Nation, it has been a pleasure sitting down here with you today. For our diehard fans out there, they already know what's up. But for some of the new members that are tuning in, let us know, how do we connect with Dr. K? Where do we get the content? How do we follow along with the life story?
Yo, man, I'm talking, we're all over the place. I'm talking, you on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. You can find us at Quadcast. Leave any comments at quadcast99@gmail.com. Leave us a 5-star rating, please, on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps with the visibility of our show. And you know what we're trying to do, guys? We're trying to change the boogie, change the landscape of healthcare, transform that into a more innovative, efficient, well-oiled machine. And it starts here, guys. So thank you so much. And we're going to continue to kill it. And Stokley, damn boy, you're going to be taking over my job soon, man. He's a better host than Quadcast himself, man. What's up with this?
Maybe you'll hear me again back on here.
I think so. Thanks, my friend.